Well, welcome back to my studio, everyone. My name is Yovette, and today we're going to be doing clouds. I'm going to show you some different techniques using different brushes, and I just think you'll find this kind of interesting. So let's just go ahead and get started on the easel. Well, as you can see, I have my canvas already prepped with some pretty sky colors. And today we're just going to work on clouds because I'm going to show you some things that maybe you haven't seen before. So I'm going to start out with just my number 3 fan brush. I'm going to start up here in the corner. I'm just taking pure white, loading both sides of my brush. So it's got a nice load of paint on it. Okay, and to make the first fan brush cloud, it's going to be a circle, and the way you do that is you just take the corner of the brush, just the very corner here, and you put it into your canvas and you start making circles. You can make these small, you can make them big, you can make them however you want. These are not too large, but they're there. Okay. I want to wipe my brush off in between each load because you're going to be picking up a lot of undercolor. So again, more white on the brush. Let's go over here. And notice I'm still just doing circles and filling in a little bit underneath. What I want to do next is take my large 2-inch brush. Now if you want, you can use a small brush. Doesn't make any difference for this part. First thing I want to do always is just lightly bring down. And that way, if you have any little big, or I should say big smudges, this will help eliminate them. So then you just lightly go across this way and this way, and smooth out the bottom a little bit. You can tap it and just blend that bottom in. And you can smooth this to any degree you want. Now, if that is not light enough, which in some cases it's not, you can just simply load your fan brush again, just go back in, put in some white where you want some highlights, where you want it just a little bit brighter. Maybe some over here. Again, lightly down, wipe the brush, and just lightly come across. So the next one I want to do, now this is called a circle cloud. Next one I want to do, we're just going in and loading the brush with white again. This one is a smashing effect. So you just, and it's not little circles, you just go in and you just smash and you just twist and you turn and you just get that paint off. And that's all there is to that one. And then come in with the big brush again, tapping out the bottom. Almost always you want to tap out the bottom to blend these clouds into the sky. And again, come down and across. I like this effect for using for clouds in the sky. So the next one is called a shadow. When I showed you brushes, we're using 2 brushes because one is for dark colors, one is for light colors. I'm going to go into my purple that I made. Now it's just Alizarin Crimson and Prussian blue. And then I added a little white to it so it's not real dark. And we'll just go in and we'll just make some shadowy areas here. And again, I've sort of left it kind of flat on the bottom. If you notice clouds, most of the time they are fairly flat on the bottom. Now, Bob never did this. He usually just went right over this with white, but you know what? I don't like to do that. So what I'm going to do is just tap in the bottom. And already that's pretty, isn't it? I think so anyway. And then just lightly go across. You'll get a few smudges, but they'll disappear. Now this is called a shadow cloud. Loading that fan brush with a good amount of white. And to this, we're just going to go right over the top. I want to go above. Can you see how I'm going above? And see, it's picking up a lot of color. So you want to keep that brush clean, wipe off in between each load. Going back for more white. Let's go way up here. And let's go ahead and just blend that out. First, I want to take my big brush again. Let's tap the bottom. And I do not go up to the very top here, just stay in the bottom. When Bob made shadow clouds, he usually used a very, very dark color. I don't care for the really, really dark color. I like more of a muted color, softer cloud color. So I don't go real, real dark. But again, I wiped off the brush and I'm just going to come down, wipe it off in between each load if you need. And across. And again, if you need to highlight more of that, go into more white. And let's go down here. And let's just come across. And we'll tap out the bottom. Now I haven't got too much paint on here this time, so I'm just going to lightly go across. The next one I want to do is with a Filbert brush. I love the Filbert brush is probably my favorite for clouds. Let's go into a dark color first, the shadow. We'll do a shadow cloud with the Filbert brush. Again, starting on this side. I just go in, touch. I love the way this makes beautiful, beautiful, soft clouds. And just fill in at the bottom and sort of just blend this out a little bit. Tap. Wipe the brush off. Now this makes a beautiful cloud all by itself without even adding white. If you were painting like a stormy day or something, this would be a great cloud. Okay, now let's do a little bit of highlight on that. So I'm just going into my white. Sorry you can't see my palette, but this canvas is so big that I don't have room. So with a loaded brush, well, let's get more. Yeah, we need quite a bit of paint for this. Okay, starting always above the cloud. And I'm making my little circles. Wipe the brush because I picked up a lot of blue. Now picking up more white. Let's leave that. More white. How about over here? And let's blend out the bottom. Wipe that brush off. Again, come down. I'm wiping in between each stroke here, each bunch of strokes, I should say. Now, doesn't the fan brush, or the Filbert brush, make beautiful clouds? I think these are the prettiest ones. I really like these. Just blend this into your heart's content. Just make it pretty like you would like it. And maybe level out that bottom a little bit. Maybe some of you saw this on a previous video that I did years ago, but this is one of my favorite things to do with the fan brush. Cup it between your hands and come in and just start swirling. Just like that. And that's all you need to do. And then just blend that out. This is called a wispy cloud. And you'll see a lot of times, you'll see wispy clouds maybe in here, over here. They're just really soft, soft clouds. I like those. The wispy clouds are very cool. And any place you don't like it or you want to add more, say like right there, maybe over here. And this one we're just making circles. This is just white by itself. Reloading. So now if you're a right-hander, you would be doing it this way. I can't do it, but right-hander would be doing it this way. Or if they were coming in from this side, they would be doing the exact same thing, but just with the other hand. And if you notice, when Bob is doing circle clouds, he's always working towards the center. In other words, if you're on this side, you bring your circles this way, up and over, counterclockwise. But if you're working on this side, you bring your circles clockwise. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and finish this one. Filling in down here. And let's go ahead and just bring down and across. Tap it out if it needs tapping on the bottom. This one didn't need very much. And any place you want to highlight, just go back in with more of your white. And again. I got these funny little peaks on here. That looks weird. Let's fill that in a little bit there. Sometimes when you're making these clouds, you'll see that you have made little funny little characters in here. Like here I can see like a little mouth. If you put an eyeball in there, it would look like a little animal. Oh, that is crazy. Okay, next, one of Bob's favorite things to do was use the 1-inch landscape brush for making clouds. This has never been my favorite brush for clouds. However, he did it, so we will do it. But what you do is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my palette. I'm going to brush like this. I'm going to just stroke the paint and I'm just loading the brush just one way. Notice I have my Bob logo facing me. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So just load that paint, your shadow color. We'll do the shadow color first. And see how it makes kind of a paw? Okay, so I was loading it like this. What Bob doesn't show you is that when he goes up to make a cloud, he turns the brush over and then he starts with his little circles. And let's go ahead and do the tapping out. Wipe that brush off really well. And let's just go ahead and go across. And once you make this shadow cloud, then you can use any brush to finish it off if you wanted to highlight some colors on that. But I'm just going to leave that nice and dark. So the next one is just the landscape brush by itself. Again, we're going to load it the same way, just like that. Your logo is facing you. So see this ridge here? It's at the bottom. It's facing downward. And when you go to put the cloud on the canvas, you turn it so that that's upward. So let's go ahead and I'll load it with white. My white is extremely thick, not making very nice clouds, unfortunately. However, we will just make do. So I have loaded my brush. As you can see, it's got that curve. I loaded it this way. And then turn it upside down. So you go in here. Let's make a big old puffy cloud here. Okay. Tap out the bottom. I can see I didn't wipe that brush out enough. It's got a little color in there, a little shadow color, but that's okay, it won't hurt anything. And I don't have it very thick on the top here, so I'm not going to bother coming down on it. I'm just going across and just blending that out. Now these are just soft, puffy clouds. And if you wanted to add more, again, you just do like I did before. Load that brush the same way. Then you turn it. And tap out the bottom. And across. And one more cloud with the 1-inch brush. And we're going to tap. Now these are just tappy clouds. And these are quite popular because they are so easy to do. Get more paint if you need. And let's just go ahead and come down and across. And here. The last way to make clouds is with a knife. So go ahead and let's just do a white one to start with. I'm just getting a roll of paint on the knife. And you can just come in, you can go to the left this way, or you can go this way, whatever your choice. But just back and forth. And as you come across, you lower, you start out kind of flat, and then you start lowering your knife. So eventually you just have a nice ridge. And then you just take your 1-inch brush. I like these kind of clouds. And you just go ahead and come across. And with these kind, what's really neat is if you want to make them kind of curved, like the wind is blowing or something, you just come across and you just can shape it that way. And you can do the same thing with the shadow. Let's get some shadow color here. Little roll of paint. You probably can't see that, but it's there. And let's just go ahead and come in here. And let's go across. These are very cool. Just little streaks. And if you want, you can come in, you can make that like that. Just however you want that cloud. Just scribble it in. Come across. And then, with a little bit of, say, pink and white, ooh, that's too much pink. Let's just do a little bit of white. Come in across the top, like you're highlighting it. Like maybe a little bit of sunlight up there or something. And again, very lightly, very lightly. Actually, that could use more white. And if I were to do this again, I would lighten this color. I would make it even more pastel, more softer, like more into this color to start with instead of that very, very dark. It's also kind of fun to use a knife to make puffy clouds. The Bob Ross knife doesn't work so well, at least for me it doesn't. But you can go in and just come and make circles, a little more paint. Because I can't get this knife, I can't get it flat like I would like it. You can't blend and work out the paint so well with this particular knife. However, some people, I guess, maybe they can do it. I don't know. I haven't been able to. But if you have one that's got this little ridge, kind of goes up in the air, if you have one like that, actually I think that does a better job. You load the paint and you can go in and you can just really make nice little puffy clouds. Because your fingers are off the canvas, the knife actually raises up, which makes it kind of nice. So you can make some really nice puffy clouds with this knife. So you can see how thick my paint is. It's actually humping up. It's so thick. I don't know. It's and it's supposed to be a thin paint, but it's not. Well, all the paints are different. You'll find that with all the Bob Ross paints are different. So up to this point, we've used 3 brushes and 1 knife. And of all these, I must tell you, the Filbert is my very favorite, but everybody has their own preference. I really like what knife work does too. So anyway, well, I'm so glad you joined me today. Have a fabulous weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.